Hello, and welcome to the Sad Dads Club podcast. Here's everybody's favorite sad dads, Jim and Foo.
We spent at least 15 minutes on the lighting setup that we alluded to in last week's episode.
That's being pretty generous.
Yeah.
15 minutes?
I mean,
I don't know how long it took for you to put those on tripods and stick them out in the garage because I wasn't here for that part.
That's a huge run over to the cabinet.
But actually turning them on and being like, hey,
and then
that
I had
looks
to go,
pretty good.
Yeah. Wow. Goddamn. Shit. You know what it is? I think it's these. Anyway, so if you happen to wander past, or you're a subscriber to the YouTube version of the podcast,
thank you very much.
Hey, and we appreciate you. We've got lighting behind us now off of the last week's recommendation. Also, before I forget, we ended up. God damn! I hope it was. We're off kilter, so now I don't remember what we talked in the last episode. But I think we ended last week's episode. Hey,
getting ahead of yourself.
I just came off pager, so I'm fucked. 10 ways of Sunday, like time and like I just want to get through things.
It just feels like you were on pager for like a month. Were you? Is that only a week?
It was only a week.
Oh
it was one. Oh, I could circle back to that too. Okay. Hey, see? That was you, bitch. Welcome to Sad Dads Club podcast, episode 163.
Yeah.
We counted.
Yeah. Well, we double
Not
checked.
that high, but
well, not at once.
Well, we needed to plus one from whatever the last save was. See? Oh my God, I had so many directions to go. You're
like an octopus with the arms just
last week's episode, we were talking about undercooked bullshit.
Yes.
Big.
We've talked about this on a couple of occasions.
Boutique cookies. Yeah. And I had said that the senior, the photo studio that did Piper's senior photos sent her away from the studio with like some complimentary cookies from a local bakery. And I didn't remember who it was at the time. That bakery here in Roseville was Kelli's, Kelli, apostrophe S, Kelli's Cookies.
Yeah.
And I sent you the link, and I'll remember to put the link in our description this week, at least for the YouTube episode.
Which is funny because just out of nowhere, I just got this link, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I went to the website, and I looked at it, and went, yeah, cookies.
Cookies.
And then I was like,
why?
Is there something I should be?
Yeah.
Am I on a treasure hunt?
I'm like, oh, yeah, by the way, these are the big cookies that were actually good. And they had 6 or 7 varieties.
I think more than that.
They were really good.
You had 6 or 7.
No. Oh, my God.
Oh.
I think she had sent home a sample of like 5.
Oh, okay.
But like the picture on their website had.
Yeah. They've been around for a while.
It was 10-ish.
I had to double check with my wife and like, we've had Kelli's Cookies, right? And she's like, yeah. And I that's why I was alluding. I was like, I'm pretty sure I've had these before.
Yeah. If you're looking for a big boutique cookie,
they're way better.
They were way better.
So Crumble, though, let's bang on them because that's not like it's the only one. There are other Crumbles around.
It's franchised.
Yeah,
isn't it?
I'm pretty sure it's a franchise. Now either Crumble as a company, whoever the franchise releaser is,
right,
sucks at making cookies. Either that's the case, right? Or our franchise sucks at making cookies.
Right.
I don't know what it is, or if they're making them to the Crumble quality, because those are not. They are dough balls.
Yeah,
basically.
We can't. Obviously, no one in this household picks up one of the. I mean, we're talking small saucer, like a coffee saucer size cookie. So we're not picking one up and just going to town. We cut these things in like little pies and we eat the wedges. So we can see
in the middle.
And when I look at it from the side in the profile, and the shit is
dough.
like dough from the fucking tube.
Yeah.
Listen.
It's like you can buy those Toll House tubes,
Yes.
like at the grocery store, and just
Yes.
like cut them.
Yeah.
That's what I feel like they're doing, and then they're just not cooking them enough.
I would share that sentiment.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and then it makes me like go, how come I'm not that asshole that owns this franchise that makes shitty cookies that people are spending $6 a piece for?
They're right.
They're not cheap.
I think, maybe people are just like, this is what a $6 cookie is.
$6? I mean, okay. I mean, it's pretty good size and it has fucking cake frosting on it, so
yeah,
it's got to be good, I guess.
Yeah.
Are we the only two that are standing up with our arms up and with our fists in the air like, this isn't a cookie?
I will not stand for undercooked cookies. God damn it. Softness and chewiness shouldn't be a byproduct of not being fully cooked.
Right.
You can
you can make dough.
Add leavenings of sorts.
You can make dough that is soft.
Right.
When it's fully cooked.
Or you can cook a bitch cookie and make it soft, like Mike and his soft peanut butter abominations. Hashtag, yeah, I said it, Mike.
When I make peanut butter cookies, those motherfuckers better be crisp, or not crunchy, not crispy, not crunchy, but they should be crumbly. I love a peanut butter cookie that's got some crumble to it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Not gooey.
If I
wanted peanut butter cookie
floppy,
I would just scoop it out onto the cookie sheet and then eat it right off the peanut butter on the cookie sheet, and then I would eat the peanut butter off the cookie sheet. Yeah. There's my gooey cookie.
If I want a floppy cookie, I'll ask for a pancake.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
A cookie should be like a diving board. I could go into the deep end with this shit.
Waffles are more cooked well.
Yeah. Waffles.
Waffles are way better cooked than those crumble cookies.
Yeah. So high strung and moving all over the place. Anyway, it was the relative to the pager.
Yeah.
It was the most active pager week I have had in probably 5 years easy. We had talked about it just shortly before last week's show because Venus was, still adjusting her work schedule and she had a rough day.
Was it because like Mercury was in retrograde, or what was
it has a lot to do with the things that the company has been making as far as restructuring to be in alignment with some of the penalties that we've
incurred?
Not me, but some of the practices that we've been busted for involve a whole bunch of restructuring.
Like stealing people's money?
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Just sending them accounts
so
that
is
they
that
didn't
like
ask.
Bank robbery?
Can a bank robber rob? Yeah, you can.
Is that bank robbery if the bank's doing the robbery?
Yeah.
That's kind of technically.
It's like self-thieving.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there's been some resorting and reallocations of groups and responsibilities, and the way that some of those things fell in the last couple weeks
just led up to
like this perfect storm where it was like there's a legacy pager function that intakes calls, and without an adjustment to how that's divvied up, with an increase in those calls, because the scope broadened. So it was dink, 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 and it was funny to be reading the chat between Mike and Data's earlier about people trying to feel like they're
like asserting themselves.
Job security through not getting what's due them for being on the job, like punching out early or not punching in even though you're at work, because you feel that if you were to incur overtime or get paid your actual worth, you would become a red flag, and you don't want that, so you start to eat hours.
Right.
I've been and there's no rule that says that that's not appropriate in given times, and to each their own, right? And you have to, I think we've talked at length, you have to kind of read the room and read your employer.
Him and I had talked about this stuff prior to this conversation happening.
Yeah.
And he was like, if you're told to show up at a job at X time, right?
Right.
You punch in because that's what time you're supposed to start.
Right.
Now, if other people who are in your team or the customer isn't ready or there or whatever, that's still your time. Your start time started. The clock is ticking.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I feel like we could circle back to that. So let's not get off this. So I've been doing my job, obviously, in this for this employer for over 20 years.
Yeah.
And kind of like how we've discussed with telecommuting, there's an ebb and flow when you're starting on contract and you're making tons of money, and sometimes you may pad the stats, or you'll take any overtime you can because the multipliers are really, really nice.
Phenomenal.
Right. And then you get to a point where you're like, man, I'm burning out, candle at both ends. I need to walk it back. And then you take on volunteer, you take whatever you want and you get overtime here and there, but you work hard either way. And then there's the spectrum where you're like, I'm being taken advantage of. I don't want to work any overtime. I'm just getting paid for here to here, and I'm out. You can ask me, and then maybe I will, but I'm not going to give you volunteer more time because I would like to go wakeboarding this weekend, kind of thing. And then you get the scare tactics. We're starting to look at metrics and analytics of who's doing tickets or projects or whatever, and how efficient you are. And, by the way, we got slapped with these regulations, so we're going to have to, do some headcount reductions.
Belt tightening.
Right. So then you're concerned about, well, am I the guy that's an outlier and on the list? So how do I make sure that they see me
as valuable?
So you eat time. Oh, well, I'll work the weekend. Who wants to work this weekend? And you kind of like, oh, well, yeah, I worked till 7 tonight because this change control went long. But when you do your time card, I don't want to build 2 hours overtime. Yeah, I work till 5. And you eat those 2 hours because you're concerned about you sticking up. And, is that overtime bad? And so that's one. And then that's like almost where I'm at now. It's like full circle. Like, bottom line, I'm pretty well versed in labor laws at this point. You had to have me here to watch this thing from here to here. My pager says I have a 15-minute response time between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. I don't get to go anywhere. So if I am on call from 6 to 6, you will pay me for 6 to 6. Last week was one of those weeks where there was like, sometimes if it's really quiet and I'm on pager, I'm not going to, that last hour, and I'm not going to worry about. And if it's that 6 a.m. is 2 hours before I would normally punch in, I'll set an alarm, but I'm not really going to get up at 6. I'll just bill you till 8. Last week, I was getting calls pretty much from 6 to 6. And so on my time card, it's fucking 12 hours from Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday. There was a little bit of a reprieve. Oops, sorry about that. There was a little bit of a reprieve, but the bottom line was they were full 8-hour days, Saturday and Sunday. Not 12s, but 8 hours, easy. I'm like, what are you going to do? I can account for all of this time.
Yeah.
And that kind of juxtaposition against what the conversation that Datas and Mike were having. It's like I'm at the point where it's like to see someone trying to earn favor from a big entity, not mom and pop, a big entity. They'll take it for free. You want to give away your time for free, thinking that you're going to get any sort of grievance when they just look at numbers and they go, yeah, this one goes, and this one goes.
You're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah. If you are putting out quality work and you are doing it to the best of your ability and you are trying your best to follow all the guidelines that your employer is giving you, you bill your time. Absolutely. More to your effect. If my job says I have to be on site at 7:00 in the yard, and I get there, and I'm in my truck, but I've got nowhere to go because I'm waiting for a partner or someone who doesn't show up for an hour later, I'm not going to not punch in because I'm waiting for a buddy. You said my day starts at 7.
Yeah.
I'm here. I'm in my uniform. I'm in my provided vehicle, if such is one. My time card starts at 7.
Yeah.
If I have an 8:30 appointment to be on a job site and I am there and the job site owner doesn't show up until 9:30, I'm not going to not bill that time.
Right. Yeah.
It's not like I get to change my clothes and go back to the yard and get in my car for an hour. That would be sure.
Yeah. You're all ready to go.
I'm on site.
Yeah.
This is my job.
Yeah.
I don't get to stand outside and, drink beer for an hour. You expect me to, I'm on your time.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And I like all of that stuff. And kind of Mike was getting there too. Like it trickles out to billing, sales and all that stuff. Well, project managers and salespeople will always fuck the low-rung guys because and that's not their fault. They're pushing a product. I feel like Dave going, "Hey, did you just say I fuck people?" Hashtag I love you, Dave.
Well, I mean, they're selling.
There are margins.
They're selling the sales folks are putting a package together and saying it's going to cost you this much,
right?
And the way that they make it look attractive is with that smaller number.
Absolutely.
And that smaller number is often, from what I understand, not reflective of the actual time.
Right.
And the number of employees it takes to get that work done.
Right. Because somewhere, I think there are plenty of people that have done the metrics, and that is there is a workforce margin of where labor is eaten because you have this albatross or unspoken elephant in the room that says, in order to keep their job,
you'll work off the clock.
You'll work off the clock, or you'll take some on the chin.
Yeah.
And to blow this up slightly larger, I think we've started to see that post-COVID with a number of places. I don't think you could go downtown here and not see plenty. You could not probably count on 2 hands the help wanted signs.
Right.
I think there has been people that have certainly there are outliers. I'm not going to say that there aren't. People that have started to find their own self-worth. Like, listen, minimum wage is not going to cut true living expenses wherever we are.
Well, you're getting into something that Melanie and I were talking about quite a bit because I saw an article about this guy in holy mackerel.
That was way loud. Who was that?
Me.
Was that you?
An article about this guy, and I think he was in Florida. He has a job. This guy has a job. But he started seeing the decline around him of the services and restaurants and the service at restaurants and all this kind of stuff. And then all of the restaurants are like kind of throw their hands up like, we're shorthanded. We can't get people to work.
Mm-hmm.
And they just blame it on, the money that the government's giving away.
Oh, yeah, free handouts from the government. Socialism,
and this
blah,
is
blah,
sort of what's been happening. This is sort of a sidetrack. This is just based on what you said just a minute ago. But essentially, he said, okay, this is interesting. So He applied. He's kept a spreadsheet. He applied to 55 jobs.
Wow. Okay.
He got 7 emails and 1 call for an interview.
Wow.
Yeah. And he basically said, I'm not applying for anything that requires a degree or anything like that. They're all entry-level jobs that will train, right?
Okay, yeah.
That's every job. And he said, no one even looked at me twice. Like, I couldn't get anybody to hire me. Like,
interesting.
Yeah. So where's the issue? What I think is actually happening is minimum wage has started to come up to the point to where some of these companies are, this is what I think is happening. Some of these companies are starting to say, we could probably get away with it, 1 less person or 2 less people.
I could see that. Absolutely.
And like, how are we going to handle it if we just don't have those extra couple of folks on?
Mm-hmm.
Can we still do the same amount of work? You know, that kind of stuff. And that's what I think is happening. They're just not hiring as many people, but then at the same time turning around and going, well, we just can't get anybody. They're just not willing to hire anybody is really what's happening. They're just not replacing people that leave. If they, if they go shorthanded, they just go, we'll deal with it. Mm-hmm. That's what I think is happening. I don't know.
So what would you say is accounting for the large amount of help wanted and
well, that's what he was saying. This guy was basically saying everyone's hiring. He says,
but no one is hiring.
But no one is hiring. They all say they're hiring, but they're actually not hiring. It's weird. I don't know what it is.
Would you say that there is probably a subset of that they probably are hiring, but what they are hiring or willing to give is no longer acceptable because people are expecting more?
I mean, that's possible too. I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, I think if you need a job, you go get a job, whatever you can get.
Right.
But I think that sometimes those opportunities aren't necessarily available, even though
because I'm certainly seeing it in technology.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what makes it like a bitter pill when I see some of the things we've seen lately with my employer, where they're talking about trying to bring people back in for the collaboration,
work in
shoulder to shoulder stuff.
Yeah.
The COVID situation has, for employees, like the bottom rung guys, the keyboard warriors, or the analyst kind of things. I can do this thing. I'm still here. You didn't have to fire me. I didn't do anything wrong. I haven't created inefficiencies. Are we good? If I'm not feeling, or I'm going to take my skill set somewhere else because maybe you're cutting costs and you cut people. If I go to LinkedIn and I start looking for more jobs, that type of person who's a technology person who's been through COVID is no longer looking or may not be tolerating a like-for-like job that says you have to come into the office.
Mm-hmm.
They may be looking for someone that's offering flex, because the bottom line is they just lived through telecommute,
right?
And the proof is in the pudding,
right,
so to speak.
Yeah.
So it's so in perhaps in technology and not whatever job area, it seems there is a higher bar, a higher standard being held to technology positions that, hey, I need you to offer flexible work hours,
right,
remote. I don't need equipment. A lot of people don't need equipment anymore, but protocols, like, what are my benefits? Like, and I want you to pay a living wage, not like, minimum wage. Like,
well, it's interesting. We just had one of my favorite engineers that I really enjoyed working with leave, and he went to Apple apparently.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was a curious choice, considering I think that our work, what do you call it? Your
Like togetherness? Or?
Yeah, your culture, your work culture is pretty good at our company. And he went to Apple, which I have known quite a few people to leave companies and go to Apple that I've worked with over the years. And I always hear the same thing is like, you get in there and it's a great company to work for, but also they have a lot of demand on you.
Mm-hmm.
They really work their employees.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of surprised to see, this guy from sleepy Grass Valley, Nevada City area go to Apple, and he's sort of on the side of close to being retirement age.
Okay.
So I wouldn't expect that anybody who is going to be closing in on retirement to like want to go into that kind of a situation.
Because I would think no matter what his position is, unless he was seriously calling a shot, you guys have a very comfortable work culture.
Yeah.
I would not think in any form or fashion you are going to get that at Apple.
Well, and also Apple is traditionally known, and even now with all the work stuff being remote, is they really try to rope everything into their facility because they are very secretive about stuff that's happening.
Oh, yeah.
So things leaving the building, hardware, software, things,
I can see that.
They really don't want that stuff leaving the building for those reasons.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine, and maybe his group might not be that secretive necessarily.
It could be.
But I can't imagine him being able to do what he's doing from there. So it's like I can kind of see him having to go to the Bay.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
yeah, it's going to be
maybe
I would imagine it would be a completely different speed. Like it's, especially when you're going to retirement, you're like, I'm kind of looking to just cruise these last couple of years.
Yeah.
I have this really nice cruise work culture here, and now he's going from 35 in the 45 to 65 in a 120 kind of thing.
I mean, I could imagine but maybe being a little bit bored with your position. He'd been there for like 15 years or something like that, kind of, and especially I know the last at least 7, 8, 9, 10 years of that, probably doing much of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I could see you getting restless and wanting to do something different and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would take that leap though, that late in my career.
I wonder what the retirement things are for Apple, like to get vested, so that way maybe it's a package. Maybe he's chasing a retirement package to like be.
Yeah, that's curious. I don't know.
Golden. Not that I know that you have a shorted retirement package or something.
None that I'm aware of.
Hashtag I still love you, Dave. I don't know. You guys are great. I love you so
I mean,
much.
it's interesting stuff, and I don't know. There's a lot of things I don't understand about the current work environment. For the reasons that I talked about a minute ago, which was people applying for jobs that they just can't seem to get. That everyone says they're hiring, but yet no one can get hired.
Yeah.
I think that's weird and interesting.
Yeah.
Now, going back to what you were saying about PagerWise, like that's a tough, for me personally, that like I remember I worked as a desktop support IT person for a little over a year at this company. It was sort of like a short stopover for me. And I really liked the work there. Like what I was doing was managing basically a house full of Macs, and I'm a Mac-centric person. I've been doing Mac stuff since the 90s. That was almost just like easy money, essentially, for me, just doing that stuff. Definitely learned a lot of stuff I didn't know that you could do with Mac, which was kind of cool. But I was a salaried employee. And as a salaried employee and being part of the IT group, I was also required to carry the pager. And it was on like depending on how many people there were in IT, that's how many weeks it would be before you got the pager next. And I was an IT person, but I didn't really manage like the servers like all the other IT folks did. So I was doing desktop support stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So when the pager went off, the phone call came, And it was something like maybe at the co-location center, because the company I was working for was a hosting company.
Mm-hmm.
So one of our servers was hiccuping, and then the software's contacting you like, hey, we're not getting a ping out of this box. I didn't know what to do because I didn't build any of that shit. That wasn't really my wheelhouse.
Mm-hmm.
It was very stressful.
Oh, yes.
Holy mackerel.
Last week was... Like I said, there was consolidations of some extra duties, and there were plenty of calls where I was like, I got nothing here. I need to rope in a, phone a friend kind of thing. But I had the last page I had was like the polar opposite. It was like the perfect. It was something that really wasn't broken. Too bad. It was like a boot sequence thing. An encryption thing didn't come up in sequence correctly. The application owner, a lady, I don't know the age, but it was all ladies on this call.
Oh, wow. Which is probably unusual.
And
I would imagine.
Yeah. All the calls, for the most part, most of the calls had all been dudes or offshore partners. So I get on this call. I'm total honest. I was burnt. Monday, I was toast.
Yeah.
Like it was kicked me in the ass 10 ways a Sunday. So I get on this call. I didn't even know if it would be my last calls, but I'm on this call, a bunch of ladies, and they're like, here's what the problem is. Here's what we're seeing. Here's what it should be doing. This server is busted, but these other two that are like its partners in a quorum are fine. I'm like getting on the thing. And if you've ever been in the house or in the office or listened to me on an ingress call while I was running operator, I love mechanical keyboards. I do a grotesque amount of typing. So I love a mechanical keyboard.
So it's just the feedback of the button presses. You hit it, right?
Right. And there's a little bit of bounce back that helps reduce fatigue for me in the large amount of typing I do. So I had been hammering on the keyboard for a good 5 minutes or so as I'm troubleshooting this thing.
So you were looking for flights
for
somebody.
Yeah, I had a Expedia. How the fuck do I get down here? Where's
you ever seen that in the
Acapulco
movies where they show the person at the flight desk? They're looking for flight, and they're just on the keyboard, and they just keep going.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, that's you. That's you. Yeah.
So it was a good 2 to 5 minutes of me hammering on the keyboard, and they've got some back chatter going on between. I think one lady was trying to she was shadowing the other one who was walking through the bulk of the problem, and I kind of hit a dead space where manual intervention wasn't really going to fix it. So I stopped typing, and I waited for him to finish, and I basically gave him a summary of what was going on, what I'd like to talk about next. Like I said, I'm tired. I'm really tired. Yeah. And for whatever reason, I go, and if my keyboard is bothering anybody, I really apologize. I realize I didn't have you on mute. So I apologize if my mechanical keyboard bothered you guys while you were talking. And the lady just put a smile on my face. She's like, "Oh, honey, you're doing fine. You do you." And at that point, it was like this lady had just baked me a cake.
Yeah.
It was like I'm like, because I have been on plenty of calls all week where it was like typical project manager asshole. Everyone who's listening to this has probably had a manager or a peer who's just been that strong-armed, heavy voice dickhead.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you knew half of what was going on, you'd just shut your fucking mouth and let me do my work, because I don't need to hear from your shit. I'd been dealing with that the bulk of the week. And so this lady that was just like, you do you, and let me know. Yeah. And it ended up like a reboot got everything back up in sequence as it. And this lady had nothing nice to say. And it kind of
nothing nice to say?
Nothing but nice things
good.
to say. Sorry, yeah.
Still
on the
tired,
call,
apparently.
Oh, yeah, dude. Fuck, serious. Had nothing but nice things to say as we then, like, as she tried to share her desktop to show the other lady that she was shadowing what she was trying to do. And she bones her password a couple times. And it doesn't work, and so then she's like, well, it's probably because I'm sharing my screen that the gremlins don't want this to work. So now I'm starting to go back into heart palpitations because I'm like, well, fuck, is the authentication system busted?
Right.
And she's like, let me stop sharing my screen, and then you can hear the hunt and peck, like, pink, pink of the number of her hitting her password.
Right.
And she's like, okay, now we're good. So then she reshares her screen. She shows the lady. It's like, it's all working good. It's all working good. And she's like, so what happened? And I'm like, so I'm going to be perfectly honest.
I just unplugged it.
Yeah, I said,
plugged it back.
There's no smoking gun here. I said, as we talked about earlier, this thing is really particular. She's like, oh yeah. I said, it wasn't the patching thing because the other two got it and are fine. I said, sometimes the way it works, it's a dickhead. I didn't say dickhead. It's particular of its sequencing when it comes up, and this one just came up out of sequence, and it was never right, and me being able to manually kick it in the teeth wouldn't work either. It's just easier to reset it and just let it come up how it wants. And she's like, perfect, works for me. And I went, oh,
is that it?
Is that okay? So we're done. She's like, yeah, that's good to go. We'll go ahead and end the call and the issue, and we'll close it out. And you got my problem ticket? And I went, yeah. I mean, it was like I was a brand new SA dealing with someone that didn't want to be a dick.
Yeah.
And that was the last call I got, and I was like, fuck, that was cool. I wish all calls were like that. And some calls don't, just by context, because there's just whatever the production issue may be. It's high strung. Things need to get done. Command decisions almost warrant quick, short fused, speak. And that's not that they're trying to be assholes. It's just like, yes, do this. Yes, do that. No, I don't want. And being able to read between that helps, but sometimes when you're so fucking tired, it's like everyone's just trying to be a dick to you.
Yeah.
To get that on the tail end, anyway, it was
nice.
But it was, hey, Christmas is coming.
Dude,
so
on-call's the worst.
It was rough. And it turns out I will be the last one to work the on-call in that fashion because of what we talked about. The staffing will change.
The staggering.
Yeah, so now it'll be whoever is on shift in between the 6 and 6 will get on calls in an email, not your phone. And when you're no longer working,
right.
So there's no I have to wake up early to get a thing or stay late.
Dude, it was one of the worst things because there was weeks where like nothing would happen, but just having the fucking phone was the shit.
Right.
It just sucked.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But then there were weeks where that damn thing would buzz all night long.
Yeah.
Every night, or I remember even like driving to the office because it was. Here we go with the frogs again. I was working in Davis, so I had like this commute like 45 minutes or so. So I would be like en route to the office for my normal start time, and then the phone would be blowing up, and I'm like, I'm 25 minutes into this drive. You're just gonna have to. I can call other people.
Yeah.
And that's what I ended up doing quite a bit on some of these servers like I didn't know much about.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, I know I'm on call, but guess what? You guys are all going to get penalized.
Yeah.
But the thing of it is, too, like I was saying, also a salaried position. So you got nothing
that's
extra.
Rough. Yeah.
Nothing extra. They didn't compensate you with like a day off. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And then sometimes you'd be like, I was up all night with the frickin' pager going off. So I'm going to be a little late today. I'm going to come in at like 10.
They didn't allow you to do that.
They would.
Oh, you got flex time sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. Depending on how busy you were, you could IT manager be like, hey, man, I'm not going to.
I saw how busy you were. Yeah. Go ahead and crash a little bit.
Yeah. I need some fucking sleep.
Yeah. You don't want me coming into the office because I'm going to start removing boot drives.
I'll start deleting users out of the system.
Yeah.
And no one can log in.
I'm going to start making work for myself. You know what I mean? What? You got no swap.
That was really hard. And most of the jobs I've had have been salary. I mean, I think I've only been hourly in my professional career. 2 times. And one time was, both times were with a company where I started out hourly but moved into salary.
Mm-hmm.
And I was salary forever. And then even at AJ, I started out in support as hourly.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't really do much overtime there. So that, and there wasn't on call or anything. But then I moved into salary, moving over into the engineering building. So it's even my position now, there have been a few times, it doesn't happen very often,
mm-hmm.
where we're on a crunch time and especially now with the fact that we have no trade shows going on.
Right.
Normally NAB would be the big push to get products to that show.
Right.
Without those shows to push products towards for development reasons,
mm-hmm.
You don't really have the crunch.
Mm-hmm.
There's no we've got a couple Saturdays coming up before the show that you got to spend some,
Right.
I mean, I've had to do that. And it's okay, yeah, I'm proud of my work and all this stuff, and I want to be part of the team player to make sure we get this out the door.
Right.
But at the same time, also, the company would be well, here's some bonus money.
Mm-hmm.
We know you're not getting paid any overtime. You were here, an extra 24 hours over the course of the project,
mm-hmm.
or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a little bonus. They've done that too.
Mm-hmm.
But there really is no incentive when you're salary to work a bunch of extra time.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it happens a lot, but I mean,
hopefully and that should cover your pay rate should hopefully cover some of those swings, the dead time.
Yeah.
Or not dead time, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Low work, low project load.
Right.
And then,
right.
What would be overtime.
You got ebb and flow for sure.
Right. And hopefully your salary range covers those.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're going to be pegged.
Yeah.
And hopefully you don't feel undervalued by your salary.
Right.
But then at the same time, you're not being overpaid when your workload goes, into almost idle kind of thing. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, there's times where you're sort of finish a project, but kind of almost waiting for the next one.
Yeah.
Sort of. You always have something to do. But
is that a helicopter?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Popo's out.
They're looking for you.
Shit.
They don't know where you are.
Anyway.
So anyway.
Something I missed from last week that I wanted to talk about was Piper's band.
Yeah.
They're over their high school. They were, for seniors, they were doing a pinning, rose pinning.
65-year-olds and older?
Yeah.
Those kind of seniors?
Wait, yeah. Yeah, the ones that are ready to retire. High school seniors.
High school seniors.
High school seniors in band because they play during football games.
Yeah.
So they were doing a senior thing, what would be 2 weeks now on their homecoming game. And they were going to also do their first, halftime show.
Yeah.
Like a marching.
Yeah.
Think like college where they're doing
marching band
on the field.
Yeah.
Not like the parade thing.
Right.
They're
doing movements.
You think like your the college in Ohio State where they're doing stuff on the field. It was their first one, which was odd to me because, like I said in priors, the high school was pretty well known for their band, jazz band, marching band.
Isn't that just called marching band? Isn't that what it is?
I don't know
if
there's a discerning
I think it's just marching band.
It might be.
Yeah.
And Venus had said, because I went, well, why haven't they done this? And it was because the band was so big, the coordination of trying to teach that type of halftime, a field show, trying to teach a field show and marching band where they do the thing like they did up in Loomis are two different animals. So
you're saying the music and the movement are
right
taught by different folks and different times or something?
Not by different folks, but the show itself and the preparation. Marching band like Loomis is like parade. It's all in a line. So the timing and the sequencing and the playing of the music are obviously all relative. But what they do as far as a field show on the football field at halftime was something that they couldn't do because of the size, and the type of things that they would be doing are not translatable. So this was really cool. My dad came down, Brett and Kim, nieces, and I and Venus were all there. And so we got to see the first Piper's last field show. It was really funny. I can't remember who they were playing. Some team at there's a funny joke there. So I drive over there with my dad.
Yeah.
My dad does umpiring, right? So he knows most of the schools in the area from baseball. So we're walking up and we're getting ready to go to into the stadium, and my dad's like, "Who are they playing? You know, it's a big thing, homecoming game. You want to make sure you stomp and you win your homecoming game." And I go, I don't know, Dad. I don't know who they're playing.
I'm just here to see the band.
Yeah, and he kind of looks at me like I have let him down as a man.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he's like, "What do you mean you don't know who they're playing?" And I went, "Dad, my kid's in the fucking band."
She's not playing tight end.
Yeah, she's not a center or a guard or a tackle or a wide receiver or the quarterback or halfback, Dad. She's playing in the fucking band. I have no... And he's like, "You ought to know." And I went, "No, Dad."
I'm sure it was in the literature somewhere.
She makes the toot toots and the beep beeps.
Yeah.
Not the hut huts and the go long.
Right.
Anyway, it was quite funny. So it was a really good show. They played, when they were in the stands, they played a Mandalorian score.
Nice.
I was told I was not allowed to go walk up in front of them and dance to it or like point and cheer.
That just seems wrong.
But my wife said it was. And so while I did make it somewhat regionally close to the front, I did not dance, and I do not know if I was seen.
Now, what dance would you have been doing? That's the real question.
Yeah, I don't know.
The BB-8 dance?
That's just it. I probably would have...
C-3PO?
Yeah, the robot. Anyway, it would have been embarrassing, I'm sure, and that's probably why my wife kept me in check. # I love you, wife. You're so amazing. Anyway, really good. I can never get enough of like band stuff. And the Brett and Kim, there were a lot more people than I had anticipated. Now, Piper did say that it was going to be a homecoming game. It was going to be packed on our side.
They do floats and stuff and all that?
They did. They did the things. It was really funny to see that too, because the princess or the queen, she was in someone's really nice 911. And then so bad. Someone was in a convertible Cabriolet VW.
Oh, really?
And then the person behind that was in it was the beater 4-cylinder Mustang convertible. And I'm just like, y'all, yeah, you're in the Volkswagen and the 4-banger Mustang.
You know, it's funny because those Cabriolets, those were cool. I mean,
if I could
in the late 80s,
absolutely,
those Cabriolets were the shit.
I don't think my friend listens, but the amazing friend that I had throughout the bulk of my childhood there at Dad's, the one that owned employee's property.
Yeah.
His dad owned a rabbit, a Cabriolet rabbit.
Uh-huh.
And I spent a ton of my youth at his house, staying the night and whatnot, but they were slightly more well-off, considering more well-off than we were. So I was lucky enough to be part of when they would go to Disneyland or they would go to Tahoe or stuff, and I don't know how that money exchanged hands or if they were paying for stuff and I didn't know. I don't know. Anyway.
But thank you.
Yeah. Hashtag love you, Jesse. His rabbit, that thing was, I would love to have one of that era.
Yeah.
And
what year, do you know what yearish?
I don't. But it was when we were in Isle of Man, the gentleman that was hosting us in the Isle of Man, he had one. We got pictures of it. I think I remember that era. Square front, and that was the one he raced. And it had fucking ratchet straps holding the engine in. That era of VW, I would love to have the Scirocco's.
Yeah,
those were badass. I would take one of those. The current ones, but the old rabbits, absolutely. That thing was awesome.
What's crazy about the Cabriolet is that you just don't see them anymore.
No,
like I think they're really cool cars, but did they just not last? You know, are they like hidden? Did they all get crushed?
I don't know. I think they, I don't know. I missed that era outside of the one that he had. I just don't, I think everything rolled in. Hondas became super popular.
Yeah.
When I started to give fucks about cars, I think the mid and late 80s Volkswagens that competed in that space got stomped on by more affordable and tank engine Hondas.
I mean, that's what my wife had was she had an 88 Jetta.
Really?
And what a cool little car. It was a two-door, which you don't see those anymore.
Yeah.
Two-door Jetta with a crank sunroof.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was a nice little car. Man, it had some get up and go to it.
Yeah.
But then in high school, I knew this dude that had he had a Cabriolet that was I mean, it was the pinnacle, in my opinion, of a Cabriolet. Like that was the car you wanted. Like, oh my gosh, it was just a cool car.
I'd always eyed like the Scirocco's. They're kind of a little bit. There was more hatchbacky, longer nose,
but they weren't convertibles.
No, they weren't.
Yeah.
Those are good.
I miss those cars. You don't think about them anymore. It's like not even a thought. A Cabriolet. You know, I mean, Golfs and Rabbits.
T-tops. You don't see cars with T-tops. I love that about the 300ZX.
Yeah.
You don't.
What about your Trans Am?
Yeah, or Trans Ams.
The Trans Am with a T-top.
Yeah. IROCs. Anyway, yeah. It was really fun to see that.
That sounds like fun.
Yeah. Go.
So I had something interesting happen, and I didn't give it. I mean, I gave it a lot of thought at the time, but it didn't really hit me until Mike said something in the chat today.
Okay.
But essentially, I had scrubbed the toilet, and I know it's weird to hear this like powerful, like podcast host guy say that he cleans his own toilets, but you know.
No, you're a dude. Why would you be cleaning the toilet?
Oh, that's
right.
Yeah.
That's probably the outlier.
Probably. But so I cleaned the toilet.
I thought you were joking when you were saying this, by the way.
No, I did. I cleaned the toilet. I have a thing about the toilet being
not about
clean.
you cleaning.
Oh, that.
About what you saw.
Yeah.
So keep going.
So I had cleaned the toilet, and then in coming into the bathroom to use it, started to notice it looked like the toilet where the water was touching the toilet was brown, like almost like someone had taken a dump in there.
Oh,
and some remnants got left behind.
An upper deck.
No, almost like if you flush the turd down, but it doesn't all go.
Oh yeah.
Right, and you still have some particulate left.
Skittles.
Or it just looks like kind of like dirty water.
Okay.
For lack of a better term.
Right.
And I kept looking at it, and I'm like, why is the water, did someone not flush, like a courtesy flush or whatever? So I flush the toilet, and the water goes away, and the bowl is white. Right. And then the water comes back, and it goes brown. And I'm like, what is fucking going on? And I just thought, is it the lighting? My eyes?
Shit.
Like, I've never noticed this before. Is there some turd, like, up in the... in the back of the bowl
made the neck.
that's scraped and like is coming back into the bowl. Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
Right.
And so I was confused by this. And this happened over the course of several days. Like, I come back and I'd pee and flush the toilet and go, are my eyes just deceiving me? Like, what is happening?
Someone get in here and see if this is shit water.
Yeah. And so I just sort of left it, and like, I was like, okay, that's really kind of strange, but I'll, and I didn't even say anything to my wife about it. I just thought I was losing my mind, or I don't know.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden, Mike goes, "Do you guys have problems with green water? Green colored water?" And I'm like, no. Oh, wait a second.
Wait.
Yeah, we did. We had, well, it wasn't green. Ours was actually looked like it was brown.
How
and
bizarre.
There was our local news, I think on Channel 10 or something, and they were talking about the fact that Roseville, where we live, gets most of its water comes from, the main source of water is the Folsom Lake, which is a pretty good sized reservoir. And the reservoir got really low over the summer. And then we got a crap load of rain. Like, we had like between 5 and 8 inches, depending on where you were.
Right. Yep.
In one day, which is just unheard of. And so apparently all of this dirty water got washed into the reservoir and rose the reservoir by 20 or 25 feet or something.
Oh, shit.
And so all of this dirty water is in the reservoir, and that's where Roseville sucks its water out of. So dirty ass water is getting into the water treatment facility, and they don't have a way, because typically the water is very clear. They don't have a way to treat it for color.
Oh, okay.
So some of the color that is in the water that they're sucking out of the reservoir is making its way through the city's water system and making it into people's homes where they can, it's being treated for everything except
right. It's going
color.
Through the treatment plant.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wrote that in there, and I went, what? And I'm like, I don't think so. I walked into the kitchen, turned on the faucet.
Well, you wouldn't notice it at the faucet.
Normal water.
You would notice it like
on my way back. I looked at the bowl and I went, no, I don't know what the fuck. And then you had started to iterate on your story, and I'm like, is he? I was waiting for a punchline.
No, I was
thought
dead
you were
serious.
Like, and turns out Data's shit in the upper tank. And
I wish I was joking.
Let's rattle on. And then you found the article, and I went, oh man, you were actually not. There was no punchline.
Yeah.
You had...
Yeah. So did you notice the picture in there? They show like the bathtub.
I didn't have time to read it. No.
Well, there's a picture in there where they show the bath. I think it was a video. It was a video of the newscast, and they show a picture in the newscast of someone's tub with a couple inches of water, and it looked brown.
Oh.
I mean, it's not like mud colored, but it's like clear water that has a brown tint to it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I was seeing in the toilets. And so I mentioned it to my wife. She gets home, and I'm like, so, hey, I sent her the link. I'm like, so apparently I wasn't losing my mind. I didn't tell you this, but I kept seeing brown water in the toilet. And then she goes, hey, man, Melanie was noticing that in the shower. So apparently Melanie had said something to her about it.
Oh, yeah.
And probably my wife was like, great. What's wrong with the house?
Fuck.
You know what I mean?
What did Data's drill into now? He drilled into the pooper lines.
I mean, we were pretty close to that when we were putting in our network cabling.
Well, yeah.
Did I tell you that?
I think we covered that on the...
Oh, man. Oh, okay. I think you're probably right. I don't know. I can't remember what we talked about.
Dude.
What did we talk about last week? I don't know. I'd have to go listen to the show.
Half-baked fucking cookies.
Don't give us half-baked cookies.
We're totally...
I don't want brown water in my toilet.
Yeah, we're so close to time. Okay. I got a semi-quick one.
All right.
So I'm on pager, obviously. So I'm taking the opportunity, since I'm not leaving the house and going anywhere, I can't really start any craft projects. I'm starting to catch up on TV shows.
Oh, yes.
So I've got a number of people trying to get me to watch Squid Games.
Yes, you haven't watched that yet?
No. So that's on my list. Morning show. See Titans on HBO. It's the
haven't seen it.
DC.
We don't get HBO.
Superhero one.
Yeah.
I had just wrapped up Titans, so I started C. C is the one on Apple TV with Jason Momoa.
Is that the one with the blind?
It's post-apocalypse. The population took a dive.
I can't get my wife to buy in on that one.
It's pretty
primitive.
Gore.
Oh, yeah. She wouldn't like that at all.
No, it's not. It would not be her speed. That would be a rough sell. My brother really and I really like it because it's. Wait, have you watched it?
No.
Okay.
No, I just can't get my wife to sign off on watching it.
The concept is like a really cool story idea from as far as my perspective, and my brother really likes it too. So the mankind loses a grotesque number of its population due to a virus that makes everybody blind. So
it's not real.
Yeah, right. If only. So the way that the series is told, everybody's blind. So there are a whole bunch of ways that you're seeing this hundreds of years, generations after the event has happened, how humanity has adjusted to being blind. So telling stories and passing messages with knots in ropes, like Braille.
How do they think of this stuff?
Ways to get around by hanging strings, and you kind of reach up and you're always like guiding yourself with strings. The way that they tell and act certainly for the first season is fascinating all on its own, despite how they're telling the story, because you're seeing actors and actresses portray a like being blind.
Right.
And there are so think Game of Thrones, like combat sequences when people are blind. So the usage of like throwing stuff to get like sonar, like a Daredevil, like as a superhero. So you all your other senses are heightened.
All those freaking punctuations,
your semicolons and your apostrophes, they're all heightened.
All of them.
Above. There's no kerning. It's all above. So it's really cool to see stories told in that way. It's like, I would never think about, like, how would you... Jason Momoa sells it in an amazing way. Like, his how he walks, you wouldn't really walk straight into things. So there's like a crab walking for the bulk of like the actors and actresses, because you've learned to,
reach out.
You're always reaching. Walking sticks and sound pings and clicking, so that way people know who you are. Smell. Anyway, that comes with a huge drawback, and that is when it's not done right, you can't unsee how fucking terrible it is.
Uh-oh.
Like, and a couple of the...
Did you just ruin it for me?
Yeah. But yes. A couple of the... Part of the story is centering around the re-emergence of people who can see. And so what you see as a viewer to the series is this extreme struggle, but yet adjustment to all of the other senses that take over to not being able to see. And yet you have these two people that grow up in that space where they adjust and learn all these things because they're having to be passed off as just like everybody else.
Right.
But they can see because they're heretics. If you were to know that you could see, you're a witch kind of thing. You're a heretic. So they pretend to be blind, so they know all the skill sets, but yet they can see. When they get caught in a situation where it's like, the blind people wouldn't have been caught, and yet you were, and you can see. It's like, how do you not see that dude coming in the forest like that? And so,
and I feel like also,
yeah,
the folks that it can see would probably be benefiting from this other heightened senses.
Yes.
So they have these other heightened senses.
Yes.
And they can see.
Yes.
I would think.
So,
yeah.
When something completely retarded, #sorry, when something completely ludicrous happens, like a person that can see paired with a sage who's been living their entire life with heightened senses and is blind, get pinched by people who are blind and on horses. It's like, listen.
The horses can see them.
I'm having trouble buying that the dude who can fucking see gets caught in this situation.
Right.
Like, they're on horses, dude.
Yeah.
The horses aren't blind, and so they're not on memory foam cushions for their hooves.
Right.
You can
yeah.
Anyway.
You're not deaf.
It's funny. My brother and I railed on this situation. And was like, listen, I love this show,
but this happens a lot.
Some of these sequences, it's like, this is terrible, especially when you have such great acting trying to portray what it's like to go through life without sight, selling it like you would think Momoa is blind.
Yeah.
He sells it so well.
Yeah.
And then you have some of these other co-stars that are like, you can see them like in some cameras, like, you're not, oh, come on. Like, at least like look up, like you can't. You're like making eye contact with the camera, like, come on.
So there's aside from that, there's another show that we watch, happens to be about a blind woman, called In the Dark.
Okay.
Very good show. We just caught
Where's
up
it on?
In the Dark. I want to say it's on Netflix.
Okay.
Very good show. But the actress that plays the girl apparently is a seeing person. But man, she does a really good job. She does a pretty good job portraying a blind person.
The Netflix Daredevil series.
Uh-huh.
That is a hero. He's blind. With so Marvel,
right.
Blind, but all his senses, comic book, are heightened, so he's can see without seeing.
His radioactive spider.
God, yeah, he just had toxic waste put in his eyes. He, to the best of my knowledge, he can see too, and you would not know. And you can't see that on Netflix anymore because Disney pulled it. That'd be interesting. I wonder if they're going to put that on Disney Plus.
I would think so.
That was one of the best Netflix Marvel series that wasn't before Disney was doing Mandalorian and all their other spin-offs that they're Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
The Daredevil Netflix series was absolutely one of the best shows I've been watching.
I want to say I watched part of that.
You can skip. What was it? Iron Fist. Iron Fist was ass. Jessica Jones was good. Luke Cage was good. Anyway, as an actor, that the gentleman that played Daredevil, Matthew Murdock, you would think he was blind.
Mm-hmm.
It was amazing work. Anyway,
yeah,
it's hard to unsee some stuff when you're watching a show like that, but I would still see. Is still an amazing series. You could probably watch it with datas, but I don't see the girls enjoying it based off of what you've said that they like.
Yeah. The series that we have heard to watch recently is You. Have you heard of that?
No.
You? I think it's You.
Me?
You. Y-O-U.
Who?
You.
You?
Yeah.
Me.
All of you.
Okay.
Yeah. No, just You. And I don't know anything about it, but I'm told that that's a good series to watch. Also, I think it's on Netflix. But man, we've been catching up on all kinds of stuff. In the Dark. We've been watching more of The Morning Show. I think we're in season
2 just released maybe 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I think we're in season 2 now, finally.
I keep forgetting. I got to write down I have a list.
Yeah.
Like I said just moments ago.
We need a list because I feel like we pick up shows and leave them, and especially stuff like my wife would never watch Breaking Bad, right? And so I feel like the show Ozark is a Breaking Bad of the Midwest kind of a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And my wife started watching it, and we were into it, and then it got to a certain point where she wouldn't watch it anymore. So it's like I feel like I have to pick that up on my own. So I've watched a couple shows of it since because I want to watch it.
Right.
You know. So there's a couple of those. But yeah, it's like that's what we do is binge stuff.
You can tell, I think the post-COVID stuff is starting to hit, like releases. I think Apple TV alone had 2 or 3 net new things. Dune on HBO just came out. I think it also in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to watch that. Titans also had just come out like six weeks ago. I finished that. So, but you can tell that some of the long produced shows that were going through quarantine things and protocols during COVID it seems like they're all hitting right here in the holiday season this year with like more stuff coming. Video games is the same way. There are probably 5+ games coming out here in the next week to 2 weeks of November, leading all the way up to Christmas in games that I really want to play.
Some of the shows that we watched recently, Squid Game, Made.
Nope.
MAID, Made.
Okay.
It's just I think it's a 1 season show, and that's on, is it on Hulu, I think?
All right.
We watched, I do want to watch Invasion. Only Murders in the Building. That's a good show.
Oh,
interesting show.
Selena Gomez.
Yeah.
Steve Martin.
Yep.
And Martin Short.
Yep.
Yes, that's on. Yes.
Pretty good show. 9 Perfect Strangers, also on Hulu. Very interesting show.
I don't know about that one.
We watched that. Let's see, what else have we watched? I'm just going through stuff that's come out recently. But yeah, we've had a bunch. Clickbait. We watched that show. We've been busy.
You've been busy?
Yeah, and one of the problems is getting back to shows that we have started watching and then left for some reason or another.
Yeah.
Some of them have been because we started a show on our own, like Ted Lasso, with just my wife and I, and then Melanie's not watching it. Sure, she didn't watch it, or she wasn't here. Chandler's never around, but Melanie didn't watch that show, so we got to watch it when she's like at work or whatever she's doing, so that when she's around, we can watch shows that she's into.
Yeah.
So it's like some of these shows we have to get to because just Shan and I were watching them. Let's see. I'm trying to remember what else. Oh, Kevin Can Fuck Himself. That's a pretty good show. That's the
one that has
what's her name from
Schitt's Creek.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting show.
Is it?
Yeah, that's a very interesting show. It's good.
Good?
Yeah, I like it. We watched that. I want to say I think we finished that first season of it.
I'm glad to see her have something else outside Schitt's Creek for sure. I enjoyed her tons.
It's an interesting show because it's sort of sitcom. It has like 2 sides. So there's a sitcom side where it literally is taped like a sitcom with a laugh track and shit. Then there's the like off the camera serious side of the same people, but shot in a completely different way.
Huh.
It's really cool.
Okay.
Really interesting. We really enjoyed that show.
Okay.
So I don't know if we're fully caught up on that one because I think that was one that was releasing, and we may have like stopped that because we caught up and then watched other stuff and we have to come back to it.
Yeah.
Trying to think of if there was anything else. I think that's it for right now. But quite a few. We've hit quite a few shows.
Well, that's good because we're at time.
Okay.
We didn't even get into my Dungeons and Dragons. I forgot about that.
You got Dungeons and Dragons?
I mean, I did last Friday.
Is it a video game?
Yes. I mean that. Yes. Short answer is yes.
Oh, okay.
But I was not playing one.
Oh.
It was like
you were playing a real
tabletop
with like the 55-sided dice.
Yeah. Yes. I rolled one at least once.
A 55-sided dice?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. And then I ended up in a prison. Big ass ogre. It was awesome.
Wow.
Anyway. All right. Yeah.
I know nothing about Dungeons and Dragons, so.
I don't either. And I told my brother, I'm like, what, fuck, if I get into it now, we'll be here for another 30 minutes.
Oh, my God.
Anyway.
Isn't Dungeons and Dragons the kind of game that you play and then you leave and then come back with the same people and pick up where you left off?
Yes.
Because it takes a long time to play?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. That's why my wife kept yelling at me, did you beat the guy? Did you win yet?
So it's basically like Monopoly.
Yeah.
Because no one ever, or not Monopoly, the game of life. Life?
Yeah.
Have you ever played that fucking game?
The actual board game with the wheel and the pegs for kids.
And the little cars, yes.
Yeah.
That game, you never finish. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no.
So it's like the real game of life.
Checkers or Connect 4.
Yeah. You're never done.
No. Or like Ingress. It's like Ingress.
You're never done.
You're never done.
You're never done until you go, I'm done.
Yeah, right.
I'm walking away.
Like
now.
in our case.
Yeah.
Let's uninstall.
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. Well, I don't know where we're supposed to start on this anymore.
You wash your hands.
You wash your ass.
You return the cart.
You wash your face.
You wear the mask.
You return the cart. Did you say that?
You get the shot.
You do the kindness.
And we'll catch you next week.
Have a good week, everybody.